Hello there, Cancer, and welcome to your monthly forecast. This is for the month of November. It's great to see you, and I hope this month is getting off to a good start for everyone. I'd like to immediately just kind of talk about retrograde because I know this is on everybody's mind. As I've been saying across many signs this month, I actually really embrace the energy of retrograde because I find it highly transformative and it really allows you to see things that you need to see. A lot of times that'll come through in a dream, or things will just kind of naturally come to you in your day-to-day life that you need to pay attention to. Anything that you swept under the rug has a way of kind of coming back during this period. And the nice thing that is often overlooked about retrograde is that it's a chance to do something again and get it right. So basically second chances. So yes, of course you have to watch communication. There can be issues with technology and travel delays, but there's a lot of really good elements as well that come through with this period. And it's really just sort of a blessing in disguise from the universe. So we'll do our best today as we look through everything to really kind of embrace the higher energy. And I'll try to give you a little bit of a toolkit or how-to on really how to take advantage of retrograde, okay? Now, before we get too deep into the reading, I'd like to pause for just a moment and introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and for everybody that is a return viewer, welcome back. If you're brand new, I'd like to give you an idea of what to expect today. Every month, I separate the reading into about 4 major parts. I start off with channeled information. This is when I connect directly with my guides and intuition, and I share whatever I see, feel, or hear with you. After that, I will pull out a Celtic cross and we'll take a look at a nice deep dive of what this month has to offer, from the blessings to the potential blocks and everything in between. I know that there's some very specific areas that you'd like me to focus on, which include health, wealth, love, and destiny. So that's part of the expanded forecast, which follows. If you were wondering, yes, you can use these for your sun, your rising, or your moon sign, if you happen to know all 3. If you don't know all 3, then just stick with the sign that you were born under and you'll get all the information that you need by doing that. And of course, you can also watch this on behalf of someone that you care about in your life. So as you can see, this really is a lot of information, and I hope that you enjoy what you see here. Please stick around until the end because what I like to do is package everything up in a quick overview for those of you that really want to kind of recap what we talked about, and then I will give you a closing word. This is also the point in the video where if you want to give back, I'll go into some greater depth on how you can do that. Just quickly right now, this includes everything from liking and subscribing, sharing what you see here, booking an appointment if you're interested, or becoming a patron. All of these things help keep the channel healthy and alive. So again, if you do like what you see, stick around until the end and I'll detail all of that. But right now, I know that you're interested in the forecast, so why don't we get straight into the channeled messages for this month. All right, as I selected a deck of cards and began to meditate on your sign, the first thing that I felt was just the sensation of moving, almost as if I was like on a train. And what I wanted to convey with this is that if you were feeling any sense of stagnation or any impatience over things not moving forward, I really feel like this is the month to create some sort of a chain reaction. And that's actually the next thing that I saw was sort of like a chemistry experiment and things starting to move in that as well. And the one area in my body where I was feeling a sensation that was really much larger than anything else was around the throat chakra. It felt as if there was like this warm energy emanating just from the throat. And I think that the power of your communication or speaking up or asking questions, somehow using your voice this month is going to be really important. And I don't want you to underestimate your ability to create some sort of a shift. You want to think of perhaps, it's like a domino. If you're at this end, it doesn't feel like much, you're just kind of tapping it. But what happens is your initial movement will start to get other people and other things also moving until the sort of culmination of everything becomes larger. And it feels like it's sort of the tsunami type wave. But that's how anything in life can happen, like a political movement or social movement or an idea that, gets patented and then, takes off in a way that nobody expected. So this month, stand out, do something a little bit different, raise your hand. And if there's something that you want to do, even if other people don't understand it, as long as you feel it, mind, body, and spirit, you have the ability to create a big shift. So in Marker, I went over it a couple times when I was doing automatic writing. Movement is the main thing that I got. And then I think it could be your voice, it could be an idea that you have, it could even just be you lending support, volunteering or doing something. But any of those three things could create a chain reaction that really could shift everything for the next year, because we're so close to 2020 that I really want you to maximize what you're doing right here and right now. You are planting seeds that are going to take form and take flight next year. And how impassioned you are right now and how quickly you move this month can also kind of affect all of the timeline that's ahead of you. So a very powerful month for you. I can't wait to see what the cards have to say in respect to some of these timelines and some of these opportunities. So without any additional delay, let's get straight into pulling the Celtic Cross. At this point, I'm going to remain quiet as I lay out the full cross, and I'm also going to pull the extended forecast cards as well. And then we'll get into everything. After that, I will pull the camera up and we'll talk about everything card by card, so stick around. All right, as we take a look here at your Catalyst card, it's confidence, but it's reversed. So the Catalyst functions as a connective thread for everything that we see. And even if this wasn't in the Catalyst position, you can even see with this sort of kaleidoscope of colors that the attribute, that ability for you to have confidence, it really does touch everything in your life. And if you can't really be comfortable with who you are, be comfortable in your skin, or be happy with the job or the life that you've chosen, then there is some integration work that has to happen towards the beginning of the month. It does seem like many of you are pulling back, in fact, because the center card really supports what we just saw there. The Hermit is about research, about integration, about spending time on your own with yourself, figuring out what it is that you want. And I've talked about this imagery before, and I want to highlight it here. You notice that the Hermit is holding a lantern. Usually if we're looking at a traditional Rider-Waite card, you would see the star actually within the lantern. And the Hermit is not only a card of being shy or researching, it's also a card of understanding your potential. In a very real way, it's an alchemic card that allows you to basically kindle your own flame, your own fire, your own desire. And when that light within starts to shine, it will not only show up here in that lantern, but you then step in and transform into the star. That's your big journey this month. That's the journey of the soul. And so as I look at the cards this month, the movement that I talked about earlier is actually about you becoming something more than you thought you could be, surprising yourself. The really interesting thing here is that other people can already recognize that potential, because the Three of Cups card only shows up around a noteworthy person, place, or opportunity. So hopefully by now you can see that this indicates that it's you that has these qualities. This is what the card is attracted to. So there's one other thing that I'd like to talk about in relation to these two cards. The Hermit is an introspective card, but it could also be seen as sort of razor focus, almost having horse blinders on. And that is supported by the Two of Swords. This illustration is slightly different. Usually the traditional Rider-Waite card would have a woman that's blindfolded with two swords. She's sort of blocking things, blocking her own path, isn't taking any sort of action. But when I'm looking at just how someone is reacting in their own life, that's typically someone that's missing something right in front of them, or an opportunity around them, or something that they should be paying attention to. And this one is showing a sort of mirror image. This person's looking at another person. They're sort of creating the situation. So all that's necessary for you this month is to have like a face-to-face chat with somebody, or to talk about what you want, because some people in your life may be looking around for someone else because they don't know you're interested, because they're not sure that you want a long-term commitment or engagement, whether it's work, whether it's a partnership, whatever it is. It feels like there's this very casual energy right around the center. That's great if you're exploring opportunities, or if, again, you're not sure about something. But if you are sure about something, make the commitment, okay? Because otherwise, this could slip through your fingers. And it has to do with you not paying attention to the signs that that other person is giving you. As we move along into the deep past, I want to get back into some of the potential energy that we were talking about earlier. The Nine of Pentacles is a great card when we're looking at resources. It has to do with building a really firm foundation, having something that is worth investing in, and also being independent and self-sufficient. So when I'm looking at this in the reverse state, in a foundational position in the spread, which is your deep past, for me, the first thing that I thought of is there's something that you're kind of sitting on. It could be a job opportunity. It could be a project that you've created. Maybe it's something that's artistic. Maybe it's something that you've patented, or it's just something that you want to pitch to the world. I see great value in that. And this could be what you're sort of waiting for, figuring out, like, when should I do it? I think that this is a good month to start to sort of circulate that idea, and that's what we see with this. Of course, you would want to get the proper protection if you do need to have, a non-disclosure agreement or some sort of a legal contract, especially since we're in a retrograde. But that being said, there's something really potent and really appropriate about bringing it out now or in the next few months. So for those of you that are thinking of launching a business, sharing an idea, or patenting something, or doing something that, basically capitalizing on something that you've been sitting on for a while, this is the time, and I'm excited about that. If you're trying to increase your sort of financial security, I see that this is a good month to also make strides there. But when we look in the ego, there's actually something that's going to require an output of some of what you've saved. And for those of you that are either really thrifty or really conservative with your spending, when I see the Nine of Pentacles and then I see a page, they're both reversed, it shows me that you actually have a little bit more to work with than you think. So don't freak out. Just find a way to kind of budget in what you want to do. And for some of you, again, this could be maybe investing in a project, investing in a business, or maybe you want to spend some money that you've saved up and take a trip or do something for yourself. I think that's a great idea. I am no Susie Orman, but looking at these two cards together, I would say that you have a really nice, you've done the work, for those of you that have done the work. So if you're feeling just uneasy or uncertain about this, I think it's a good time to have a conversation with someone that can help you with investments, because I definitely see a lot of energy around money, and both of the cards are reversed. So it feels like you need to do a little bit more research or education in that area so that you know what you're working with, or you know how to fix it if you feel like it's still not what you need. As we look at recent past here, we have the Ace of Swords. The card is upright. That's a fortuitous placement, and also the card in and of itself is really strong. So despite being in a retrograde period, I've seen this come through for several signs. It's showing me that open, transparent communication, that's going to be your friend. To me, it's a very inquisitive card too. So if there's something that you want to know more about, ask. If there's something you want to learn, sign up, take a class, sign up for a certification if you want to. Whatever it is, this is a very active card. So I would say kicking off the month and making sure that you're the one asking the questions, making the reservations, signing up for things, that's actually what this is showing. That's going to help build your confidence too, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the speed with which things start to move. especially when you decide you're ready. The universe is kind of waiting for you to step out and say, let's do this. So there you go. As we look at your crowning card, it's also really important that you feel what you're doing this month. Queen of Cups, highly expressive, highly creative, very attractive energy with the Queen of Cups. But you have to be enjoying what you're doing. You have to really allow that shine, that energy to come through in your physical state, but really like your face, your eyes. You can't fake something this month. So if you're in a job, if you're doing a project, if you're in a relationship and you're no longer feeling that connection, or if there's something that's upsetting you, you have to talk about it. And that's actually what we're seeing here with the Two of Swords. This is the most direct Two of Swords that I've seen in any particular deck. Instead of seeing the blindfolded person as I was describing earlier, we have two people face to face, leaving their weapons to the side, just seeing what's in front of them, not being afraid to talk about things. It's almost the reverse of what you would see with a traditional moon card, which is sometimes being afraid of, the illusions in life or what's coming through the deeper emotional sort of tapestry in your life. So this month, the key to success when we're looking at anything that's sort of tricky is to just remember that the other person is very much like you. They might be afraid, they may need information, they may really not know how to break down some of the walls, those sort of figurative walls that exist between you and between them. So be the first one to just step into their energy and do so in a non-combative, very open way. And it's all about just having open communication, a smile on your face, and passion and compassion in your energy. And this is going to just kind of melt them a little bit. And I feel like there could be someone in your life where perhaps in the past, the two of you had a difficult time seeing eye to eye. You're going to have a chance for forgiveness, for this newfound sort of rapport or friendship, or at least an understanding of how to work with one another. And the energy in this particular sort of fixed relationship that I'm seeing is we've got a Page of Discs and a Page of Swords. The Page of Discs is reversed, the Page of Swords is upright. So we're seeing one person that's very vocal, very sort of expressive, and then there's another person that really is focused on the practical. So one of the things that you're going to have to try to do this month, if that kind of sums up that relationship for you, is find a way to make it work for both of you. So for the person that is always talking, the one person needs to see something that actually is going to show that they have follow through. So if you're the one that talks a lot, make sure that you commit to something, sign something. This goes back to what we were looking at here. Can you commit to something long term, or can they commit to something long term? I think that commitment is going to be key. And then for the person that is really focusing on the details, this is about coming out of your shell a little bit and maybe doing some of the activities that the other person wants, which is socializing, which is also opening up a little bit, because this card is very introspective with it being reversed. All right, let's go ahead now and look at the Page of Discs in respect to your ego. And with the ego, this card is all about receiving, and it could be about having a hard time receiving a compliment, an opportunity in your life, a raise, money, asking for help that you need. There's something that's kind of cut off a little bit with respect to the flow of resources, whether it's time, money, energy, opportunities, anything else that I've missed there with resources. So I want you to start to feel like you're going to open up to all these different types of abundance in your life. And one way that you can do it, it's really interesting because we see this person kind of carrying this big coin and kind of holding it really tight. This seems contradictory, but when you start to give a little bit of your energy to others, then the universe sees that you're not holding on to something too tightly. And it feels like for some of you, there's fear around money. So when you start to educate yourself and then start to intelligently spend the resources in a way that you can manage, the universe is going to reward you with more resources, okay? So replace the fear with information, and then start to move forward boldly and bravely with that newfound information, and it's going to be okay, all right? That's what I'm seeing there. There is a little bit of, I'm looking in the near future here as we're looking at the next 1 to 2 months. You may not get all of those sort of milestones mapped out. So some of what's required is to take a leap of faith, but I feel like, again, you've done the work, you have the resources. If it's just fear holding you back, then ask for some help. And See what other people think. You have a lot of support around you this month, so all you have to do is ask. As we look in the environment, we have a message here that things are better than you think. The Nine of Cups in and of itself is a very positive card that indicates that there's something worth celebrating. Maybe there's a little bit of a cautionary note not to go to extremes. But when the card is reversed, it shows that you could be amplifying something from the past or even something that's going on around you and making it out to be something more difficult or more negative than it needs to be. So if you've experienced some sort of a setback, a delay in something happening, some sort of critical feedback, or you're just disappointed with something in your life, there's a lot of things that are going well, and this card is reminding you to look at those and also to simply take from that setback, that disappointment, that block, something that's going to make you stronger and better able to deal with any curveballs that happen in the future. That's why everything is going on in our life. There's not sort of this big plan for punishment or difficulty. We call in things that we're ready to experience. So you needed to go through whatever you went through. You're going to experience something better in the future because of that. And when you start to see everything as some sort of like a lesson plan happening to make you stronger, make you better, make you more informed, you're going to be fine. For anybody that's struggling with sobriety or trying to kind of detoxify their life, this is a month where you could be triggered because of the Three of Cups and the Nine of Cups. So make sure that the people with whom you're spending time are on the same sort of clear, clean, and sober mentality. For the rest of you, again, it's just making sure that moderation is your friend, so don't overdo anything, and I think you're going to be all right. As we look in the opportunity space, we have the Page of Swords, and this is really about opening up a conversation or a dialogue with someone. It can also be about deciding that you want to create a contract or really put something in writing. And I think this goes back to what we were looking at in the center here with the Hermit card and the Three of Cups. So in a business sense, this can be really getting everything lined up, talking to a lawyer, and then having a final document that you're ready to sign. This can also be about pressing someone for that commitment. So if it's an employer or if it's someone in your life and you're just wondering, where do I stand? This shows me that you absolutely have the ability to get it closer to an agreement this month. But it may take a little bit of pushing on your part. We have the Eight of Wands here and the outcome, which is showing there's a lot going on. So one of the challenges for you this month will be trying to perhaps get on people's radar or on their calendar. Remember that you have that energy of the Three of Cups, so you want to use that to your advantage. Again, you might have to perhaps meet them out and about. So if you're trying to find a job, this could literally be about making sure that you go to a special party or an event that that person could be at so that you could have a casual conversation about a future business opportunity. When we're looking at other parts of your life, this is just showing me that that confidence that we were talking about building. This goes from a state of like an initial sort of conversation or an opening up of the throat chakra to really being much more comfortable, and I would also say confident in your ability to use communication as a persuasive skill in your life and really get people engaged in what you have to say. And also for many of you, you may even notice that you're becoming a better listener. You're going to have more active listening skills because your overall communication is picking up this month. And it's interesting that in retrograde, across many signs this month, I've seen improvements in communication. Maybe it's because we're all talking about being careful and, reading through everything and making sure that it's being heard and understood the correct way. But you have no reversals in major court cards or even the ace cards when it comes to swords. The only thing that I think that could happen with you is maybe not recognizing someone or not paying attention to signs and signals around you. It seems to be a lot less to do with the words that have been exchanged this month. But because we're in a retrograde, again, pay attention to that. And I think that could be part of the magic that I'm seeing kind of unfold for everybody this month. By and large, I'm really happy with what I see for your sign. And I think that there's a lot of sort of hidden power and opportunity within the sign of Cancer this month. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to pay attention to people around you. If there's something that worries you, bring that up face to face with someone. And ultimately, what I see here is really great opportunities on the horizon. This card for those of you that might have your own business, it can indicate, an predictable influx of work, being able to see 1 or 2 or 3 months out, knowing that everything is really going to be great, that you can kind of count on the next paycheck. So I like that. For the rest of you, this is perhaps you deciding what you want to do with the next quarter of the year, because I see it just overall as a very busy card. One thing that I'd like to get a little bit more clarity on is, what is it that truly makes you feel a sense of passion, of getting excited about getting up in the morning and really doing something that makes a difference? The Queen of Cups really is a heart-centric card. And I think for you this month, that's the one thing that you want to really put some attention and some focus into is, what is your long-term goal? Are you making strides towards making that happen? And remember, this is a month of movement. So I mentioned your voice was strong, and we see that now with the Page of Swords and the Ace of Swords. I also said that you could create a chain reaction or some sort of movement this month. So once you've identified that goal, it can be a really galvanizing and a really wonderful way to push things into fruition and really create some momentum behind them as well. Let's go ahead now and expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each of these is multifaceted. We're going to start with health. Health includes mind, body, and spirit. As we look at health this month, there's an encouragement for you to really pay attention to what you're drinking. This includes coffee, alcohol, high sugar content drinks, any sort of soda, even carbonated drinks. You want to go more for the clear, clean, and pure water this month if you can, and avoid any sort of extreme. So if you're feeling a little dehydrated, you want to gently introduce that water into your diet. You don't want to go from one extreme to another. A more subtle message of this card is actually about the healing power of water, and this could be water in nature. So if you're feeling maybe that, there's a lot of built up energy that you've been holding on to, if you're in a healing profession or a teaching profession, or you're constantly sort of engaging with other people's problems and issues, doing something like swimming in the ocean or taking time to swim at the gym, making sure that also when you're showering, maybe that you're using some sort of a salt scrub. I want you to kind of use water as a healing and a clearing agent in your life. Again, you don't necessarily need to add anything to the water. I know I mentioned that, but just actually spending some time taking a bath, swimming, or somehow being near water when you meditate could also be a very healing force for you. It brings about, positive flow of energy into your life. So if you're also experiencing a block, any sort of stagnation, or feeling just stuck in your life in general, that combination of being near water, consuming enough water, and again, kind of keeping it in the imagery in meditation, that's going to be really, really helpful in creating positive flow of energy in your life. One last thing with this, and it's a very odd thing for me to mention, but because we're talking about the flow of energy, if you haven't looked at your house in a little bit and maybe moved things around, if there's a particular room where you're just feeling like things are not the way they should be, one, you could do a little bit of feng shui and energy adjustment. You could also look at getting one of those fountains that has a little pump in it and just have water moving in the house. That's another thing that can help you. You'll definitely want to read up on what cardinal direction it should be in. There's certain sort of things you have to keep in mind when you do that, but just know that if you properly place that, that can also help create, again, a fluid flow of energy, of abundance, and you're going to feel more at ease too. All right, let's look now at your wealth card. Just like health, this is multifaceted. This is going to be looking not only at opportunities, but self-confidence, how you're either pulling in new things or pushing them away. So we have a card here that I would associate with the Empress. It's titled the Thinking Woman. When I look at this, I think of a strong kind of maternal energy in your life. This could be you deciding to take more ownership over the money that we talked about earlier, or the sort of financial responsibilities in your life. So if you're partnered up with someone and they always handle the bills or the sort of investments, this is a month to educate yourself a little bit more. Speak up, ask some questions, make sure that you agree with all the decisions that are being made there. It also is encouraging you to, in general, sort of think maybe in the long term about how you can be more in control of your career. And maybe some of you might be thinking of creating your own business or something like that. The fact that this card is reversed, and again, it's a divine feminine, divine maternal energy, I would say make sure that you are not unnecessarily trying to fix other people's problems when you're looking at work and money. Let them come to you, because sometimes what happens is if you are constantly stopping problems before they erupt, or kind of not allowing people to create the survival techniques that they need to sort of just get by in day-to-day life, you're cheating them of that growth opportunity, and you're depleting your own sort of potential to put time, energy, and thought process into something that will help you. So let people come to you this month when it comes to issues of money, work, advice in general as well. I see that nurturing energy that wants to come through, but try to use it when and only when it's appropriate. All right. I like that when we're looking at love and relationships, we see that love is abundant. It's ready to come in. For those of you that are serious about getting into a long-term sort of relationship or dating experience, or you're already in a partnership, there's a chance to deepen that connection this month. And I mentioned earlier, it's really just a question of, are you ready for that? And is your partner on the same page? Because something about what came up at the beginning of the month is either not being aware of their needs, or maybe not having the same sort of desire as they have. So make sure that you're in tune with your partnerships this month. And if you do that, it's really great here. We have like the equivalent of a Two of Cups or a Lover's card. So I really like the energy here. And remember here, we also have a lot of like face-to-face cards. Make time to be with someone. In this world where we so often are holding up our phones or our mobile devices and, kind of having a telepresence with someone, I think that nothing can beat having that personal touch, literally being close enough to hug someone, to see them. You need that contact, at least the eye contact. And if you really have a close relationship, I feel like the one missing component for you is the physical intimacy this month. So make time for that to happen. Just make sure that both of you are getting what you need. We see things growing, we see it being positive. I think it's about transparency, honest conversations, and questions if you have questions. Let's move along now to your Destiny card. For me, Destiny indicates sometimes a path that you're headed on, but it can also be an indication of what you should focus on. And that's what we see today when we look at Heaven Sent. If you look at this card, it's really the third eye, the seventh chakra, completely illuminated, showing that your power exists not in the practical, but in the imaginary or in the sort of brainstorming that you have this month. Being able to think way outside of the pre-existing boxes, because as you look at what's going on in the world, there's a lot of things that are broken, there's a lot of paradigms that aren't working. You are supposed to shift the paradigm, shift the thoughts into something new. And sometimes that is an uncomfortable position because people don't know what to do with that when you're a visionary, when you're a change agent. But if you really get behind it and get excited about it, you can create a small movement, grassroots at first, and then it starts to pick up, and then you start to get support for this as well. It all really is fueled by your passion. So my challenge to you this month is to think of something on this planet, in this world, during your lifetime, that you would like to affect in a positive way. The frustrating thing for most of us is when we're a child or when we first are brought into this planet, we have a very clear vision of what we were supposed to do. But it gets washed away through conditioning, through school, through society, through even sometimes our parents. They kind of try to push us down a path that they want to do, not necessarily what we need to do or what our soul is kind of calling us to do. So you're watching me this month so that you can get back to that initial soul journey that you were taking. Think about really just in your heart and your soul level, what is it that really makes you get excited or angry or passionate about getting up in the morning? Are you moved by wanting to change the environment? Do you have political leanings that make you excited and want to make a difference? Do you have something that you want to do to heal people, or do you want to learn about something? Whatever your particular soul path is, this month take some time to invest in that. That could be where this sort of future sustainability and independence comes from. It may not happen overnight. You may spend the next 3 or 4 or even 10 years building this new thing, but you have to start somewhere. And this is the month to begin, because you really want to be looking at long-term happiness. And we don't know how many days, how many months, how many years we have on this planet. So treat every single moment as if it's precious, and you should be doing something to advance that soul journey. The karma that we have, that we bring into this life, that's one of the things that we work through. But somewhere along the way, we get kind of tangled into other people's hopes, fears, and dreams. This month, detangle yourself a little bit. Through your meditation, find that spark. Let that spark start to illuminate, and that's what we're starting to see here is the beginnings of the star card. When you do that, you're going to be drawn down that right path, and you won't need me to tell you because it's going to feel absolutely right, absolutely in alignment with who you are, who you want to be. And one way that you can get there is think to yourself, if this was your last day on earth, would you have a regret, something that you wished you had done or that you had experienced? If so, today is the day to do something to make sure that you're not going to have that regret tomorrow. So start working on that, okay? All right, at this point, let's go ahead and review everything that we talked about, and then I will leave you with your closing word. Your channeled message this month really focused on the ability for you to make change, for a movement to start. This is really going to be backed up by your voice, by speaking up. It could be an idea that you decide to patent or share, and basically this can create a chain reaction. I mentioned that it may start more in a grassroots fashion, but eventually that has a great potential to catch on. We'll talk more about that at the end because it does connect with your soul path. The second message that came through was about working on your confidence. And this particular card is connected to everything that we see here. So the more that you can start to see what others see in yourself, particularly the positive attributes that you bring to the world, the more successful you'll be, the happier you will be, and the more that abundance will flow through your life. We talked about this beautiful alchemic card, the Hermit. It has the ability to basically go within. It's a very introspective card, and I talked about how the light that you start to see then will become a defining feature of you and your life. So when you really own your God-given gifts, your spirit's path, which is what we were talking about here, heaven sent, then you will start to find that things come into alignment. A lot of times you'll hear about synchronicities that occur. When we start to get on that path of doing our soul's journey, then doors that were previously closed begin to open. As we look at the Three of Cups, which crosses that Hermit card, the message here is that when you start to believe in yourself, people are already ready to receive your energy and celebrate that newfound confidence that you have. So really don't delay in respect to that. The other message here is to keep an open eye, especially in intimate relationships, because we have two introspective cards here, the Hermit and then the Two of Swords. Two of Swords is simply missing something that's right in front of you. The Hermit kind of explains the reason why, because you're focusing on personal growth. Don't do that at the expense of a relationship that matters, though, because someone around you may need some time or energy, and you want to be there for them if that's important to you. Also, if there's a commitment that you need or want to make, you're probably going to be the one that is initiating that, because we have the Ace of Swords and the Page of Swords here. So if you're used to having people come to you or asking you if you're interested or if you want something to be long term, this is a month where you actually would be the one in that particular situation taking the lead. So don't let something slip through your fingers because you're waiting. Sometimes you have to be the one driving the ship in that respect. Looking at deep past with the Nine of Pentacles, there's a desire for independence here, but there's also this kind of latent energy around something that you've invested in or that you're thinking about that has the potential to take off. And this is part of that movement energy that we were talking about just a moment ago. So if there's something that you love that's connected to your soul path, this is something that will not only bring success, but also fulfillment. So I'm encouraging you to go there. Ace of Swords, Page of Swords. I see that communication is actually one of the best things that you have at your disposal this month. So timing is going to be key. And I think one of the things that's important for you is to try to stay even tempered when you're talking to people. We have the Two of Swords here, but it's a very cooperative Two of Swords, and it's a very present one. So as long as you take some time to really be with people face to face, and if there's a relationship, to have that physical touch as well, it's going to be important to keep the lines of communication open and to break down any barriers that might exist. Queen of Cups is showing that your passion is something that can really engage people around you. There's also a chance for love this month. This could be in the form of a fellow water sign like a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. The energy here, though, is very kind, very open. The one thing that I see, though, is that there's a personality difference between you and that other love interest that might be coming through, because we see one that's very practical, one that's very expressive. And what I talked about earlier is trying to find that sort of midpoint between the two energies. And now as we look in your ego this month with the Page of Discs reversed, really be open to receiving, and that's something that's easier said than done. It does boil down to this confidence message that we talked about earlier. So just keep an open mind and start to see yourself as deserving of the opportunities that want to flow in. Remember with the Nine of Cups that things are better than they seem, and really to be looking at how you can take any sort of perceived disappointment as a lesson and as something as a building block that will make you stronger. Some of you may find yourself in a contract negotiation this month. If that's the case, remember again your ability to work with a team, even to kind of turn on your charm and your charisma and your passion. This is going to be able to really take any sort of conflict and push that away. And remember, the best thing that you could do is really be face to face with someone. It's a lot harder to miscommunicate or not understand what someone is saying when you're in the same room. However, when you are reading an email or talking on the phone, sometimes things are missed. So that one-on-one, face-to-face communication is going to be key not only in your personal relationships, but your business communications, and I would say also contract negotiations as well. Eight of Wands in the outcome is showing really great energy in the future around prosperity and opportunities. So it's more a question of what you want to focus on, because this is sort of like a juggling card, and you might have a little bit of that problem of having too much to do in the future. So that's good though for those of you that own a business. It looks like you'll have a busy holiday season. When we look at health, we talked at great length about hydration. It's important to really pay attention to what you're drinking, avoiding anything that's too sugary, has too much alcohol, or anything that isn't really clean, clear, and pure. Also, being close to water or using water as a clearing agent is going to be really important as well. When we look at career and money and any sort of opportunities in your life, there is a kind of gentle nudge to not overstep your bounds here, because when I look at the Empress card, or in this case the Thinking Woman, what this is showing is that you have really great acumen when it comes to being able to take charge. But I've seen this particular type of energy come up in almost all the readings this month, and it's saying know when to step in, know when to step back, and that's going to be really important, not only to your success but also just to your happiness as well. And it helps other people step up and grow. Looking at relationships, there is absolutely a chance for love to develop, to strengthen, to grow, but there is a challenge to try to be present. You may be missing something, or you just may be missing the contact with somebody. So whether it's something on the surface or just that physical contact, make sure that you're there for them and make sure that your needs are being met as well. If you're single and looking, this shows love can come in. If you're in an existing relationship, it can be strengthened. And if you're single and happy, this just shows that you can use your charisma for networking and for business. Finally, and most importantly, with the Heaven Sent message, this gets back to how you can make change on the planet. And it's really by doing something that you love. Some of you may have this big idea for how to change the world, how to improve the environment, how to make something better than it already is, but maybe no one's thought of it. So patent that idea. We see a lot of legal cards here, and then get to a point where you're ready to share it and possibly get investors. At the very least, make time for meditation and start to think of the larger purpose that you have on this planet. There's a lot of sort of tactical stuff we've talked about. This is very spiritual, and I think it's important for you to have that sort of tangible thing that you're going to leave behind you. It's your legacy, really, and that's what this card is encouraging you to look at. So this brings your monthly reading to a close. Hopefully you got all the clarity that you need to walk through this month with confidence and with an understanding of all the opportunities in front of you. If you ever feel like you'd like to talk a little bit more about something that I covered here, or if there's a unique question about something that's going on in your life, I am available for one-on-one readings. So if you'd like to check out rates and availability, go ahead and click on the first card or the first link below the video. That'll take you to my booking site. And if it all makes sense, then I look forward to talking to you soon. Otherwise, a way that you can just show support and really encourage future production of videos is by becoming a patron. And the way that you can do this is clicking on the second card or second link. This will take you to a page on my website where you can look at the different ways to give back. A one-time contribution as small as $1 really is helpful. There's also opportunities where you can do something like Patreon or even joining the channel here, and that allows you to pick an amount that works for you and it's ongoing, and that really helps me with things like getting new decks of cards and also setting up all the production time and keeping the production equipment up to date. So I just want to say, for anybody that's done this in the past, What you're seeing here today is a direct result of your support, and if you're thinking of doing it in the future, thanks for making that next round possible. The third and final way that you can make a difference is really easy, actually. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do that right now. That lets me know and also YouTube know that this is important. And then you can join me on social media by clicking on the third card and third link. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I also have a newsletter, and all of these ways are great ways to keep in touch with me. But you can also share what you see here on your social media feeds. And that helps me with one of my planetary goals, which is to really help create positive communication and attitudes towards spirituality, and more importantly, to kind of wake everyone up and share the light on this planet. I'm trying to teach and pass on the torch, so every time you share one of those videos, you help me with all of the goals that I just mentioned, so thank you. I'd like to leave you with your closing word this month, which again, it focuses around a couple of things here. First is that you have a lot more to bring to the table than I think in the past you've realized. This could be simply because nobody said it to you, or because maybe someone said the reverse. So you're gonna flip the sort of script this month and think, I've got what it takes. I'm gonna make a difference. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna be bold. And when you do that, people are gonna notice that shift within you, and you're gonna be able to also call in a higher frequency and a more sort of resplendent energy with the people that you meet in your life. And that really is the goal of moving from hermit to star. And part of that journey is also getting aligned with what your soul path is. You and only you can identify that indelible mark that you want to leave on this planet, but really spend some time this month doing that. It's also interesting to see that Heaven Sent card is connected to the partnership card that we saw. So some of you may find that you're in a really interesting position where suddenly there are a lot of potential suitors, partners, or people that are interested in being with you. This is happening also because you're on that soul journey. So if you've been at a point in your life where you're alone or you're partnered with someone, but you still feel like you're yearning for something more, a connection on a deeper level, on a soul level, maybe just looking for friendship. When you get on that soul path, I'm seeing those friends, those love interests, those potential partners coming into your life. So focusing on yourself and on your soul path will actually tangentially bring in these relationships that you may also be seeking out. All right. I'd like to close everything with some heartfelt gratitude. You have so many choices in life and also online. It means the world to me that you decided to spend this time with me and allow me to be a part of your soul evolution and soul journey. I wish you love, light, and abundance now and always. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to others. And until next month, have a fantastic November.